Hi there, my name is Toby and this is Body Efficiency Training, and I'm continuing to offer my alternative theories of physics, of science. And I did study physics, so I am qualified to talk about this. But the reason I go on about this is I believe in the life force energy, the chi, and also you can call that the ether. It must be there. There's no answer for life. And if there is this life force energy, that's the ancients believed that, it must explain all manifestation. How do we explain life and physics? Both. It's the only way. And that's why I say that modern physics is unsatisfactory. It does not explain life. It does not acknowledge the ether, and it must. Now, I know people say, oh, the ether was disproved. The most famous one was the Michelson-Morley experiment that disproved the ether. No, it didn't. The whole experiment was a false assumption. They were looking for an ether wind. They thought it should be moving, or we're moving relative to the ether. No, there's no such thing. How do you detect the wind of the vacuum? There's no wind in the vacuum. You're not going to detect anything. But you're not looking at the right thing. You haven't. Again, all experiments are based on an assumption. You make an assumption and see. Now, if the experiment proves false, then you think that assumption is false, and you make another one. Now, they've made the false assumption about the ether. Now make another one. So I'm explaining it. It's not that there is an ether wind. It is that the ether is the gravitational field. But we have not defined gravity. I'm defining gravity. So forget about what you think gravity is. I'm saying gravity is the ether. It's the ether field. And the ether field is expanding and contracting. And as it expands and contracts, it drags things with it. So gravity are objects being dragged with the ether expansion and contraction. The movement of the ether, they're being dragged along with it. So relative to any single object, there is no wind. You see, we are on a planet moving through space, so there should be an ether wind. No, we're moving through space because the ether is pulling us. We are going together with the ether. So relative to us, there is no movement. But everything is moving in space. The gravitational field is evident. So that is the ether. Proof. But now I'm also talking about thermodynamics, because that says energy cannot be created. But yes, it can. In fact, all energy is created. And Tesla, the most famous person now talking about free energy, he believed in the ether. And he worked on these generators. He built the electrical system we've got. But he believed those electrical generators, those dynamos, were manifesting energy out of the ether. They were creating energy. They weren't transforming it. Yes, it was a machine. We had to put some energy in, but that machine was creating energy. Now, the way I would say it is that machine is condensing the ether. We need some process, mechanical process, to vibrate, activate the gravitational field, the ether, and condense it inwards, such that it compacts, that fluid gets thicker and thicker until it becomes manifest. So it becomes manifest as electricity, highly condensed, pressurized ether. So that's what the machine is doing. And let me try and talk you through it. Okay, let's look at what we've got. A standard hydroelectric generator. We've got a river, a waterfall. It's falling down, it turns a wheel, and then the wheel turns a dynamo, and then we get electricity. Now that is free energy. Again, we don't think it's free because the water must be falling. Yes, but the water is falling for free. See, there's many different levels to this. Let's look at it a bit philosophically first. The water is falling for free. Why is the water falling? It is following gravity. What is gravity? Gravity is this fluid ether. And the fluid ether is flowing. It's flowing through these pathways that are of density of ether. So gravity is falling, flowing, and the water is flowing, falling along with gravity. So this pure fluid ether, and then we've got this physical fluid water, are moving together. So we could say the water is falling because the ether is falling. So the etheric energy is turning the water wheel, which is turning the dynamo. We are converting etheric energy from gravity into electricity. This process is transforming it downwards into electricity. It's a process of condensation. So that's the first law of thermodynamics. But here's the question. How much etheric energy is there? We're taking it from gravity. How much gravity is there in the universe? Because if energy is limited, then gravity must be limited. No, gravity is infinite. It is permanent. As long as there are planets, and I mean material substance, atoms, that is a localized, pressurized condensation of ether, which I've explained in the last two videos. Now we have gravity. The rest of the ether is sucked towards it. It's permanently happening. Therefore, we have infinite energy in the ether. There's infinite energy available to us. And this dynamo is a permanent free energy generator. It's taking that infinite energy. Look at it this way. It never runs out. What is a dynamo? A dynamo is a magnet and a coil of wire, and they have to move, vibrate. And they're vibrating, moving, because the water is spinning a wheel. But as long as the magnet is there, and as long as the coil of wire is there, and as long as they're moving, the same amount of electricity comes out. It never slows down, it never runs out, it never changes. Permanent, continuous energy comes out for free. And as long as the water is falling, as long as gravity is falling, that's infinite, that machine is free energy. Quite literally. And in the old days, again, not many people know this, but I talk about all this alternative science, but in a new way. I know a lot of people must think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. If you bear with me, listen to my talks on this. Again, you might have to, sit through it, but please give me a chance. There is logic to what I'm saying. And in the old world, we had these old world buildings, and we used to have free energy machines inside the building. Now there's photographic evidence, documents for this. I've seen it, you have to research. But what it was a little tiny hydroelectric generator, a dynamo. We could build these right now. All they had was water flowing through the building in a pipe. So we've got that now, plumbing, but this is flowing water. So you've got flowing water, natural flowing water, piped through the buildings. And you've got a little water wheel inside the pipe. Then outside you've got a dynamo and a little hole in the wall. What you've got to do is plug the dynamo in, and the water wheel will turn it, and now you've got a hydroelectric generator in your house, a small one, enough to power quite a lot of stuff. We could have that right now. A free energy machine. Now, look at it like this. Okay, we've got to build it. Just like the hydroelectric dam, we had to build it. It took time, it took money to build it. But once you've built it, once you've done it, all right, it takes some time to pay off the loan. Maybe it took a loan to build it. Once the loan is paid off, you have permanent free energy. That's why you cannot charge for electricity. It's free. They'll say we're charged to build it. Yeah, you built the dam 100 years ago. Now it's free. We paid off the loan. It's free now. And if you had this hydroelectric generator in your house like they used to, what cost you 500 quid? And it's free. And Tesla was also trying to build this. A little free energy machine cost about £500 and we could all have it. But of course, his life didn't work out like that. Okay, let's go back another step. Scientists now, they say there's no free energy because of the first law of thermodynamics. Again, I've applied it to the hydroelectric dam. They would say no, because the water coming in needs a bit more energy than the electricity coming out. So more energy has to go in to the machine in order to get some energy out. That's not free energy. That's not over unity. So you could say, all right, it is more energy coming in, but it's infinite energy, so who cares? But they would say, okay, for pure over unity, we must have a machine that more energy comes out than we put in. But we already have that. I've got one somewhere. Where is it? I've got a magnet. If you've got a magnet, that is a solid state free energy machine. We've already got it. Permanent energy is coming out of a magnet, and we are putting no energy in at all. That is a perfect over unity free energy machine, a magnet. Now it's a particular type of energy, a magnetic field. We have to do something with it, but that is in itself a free energy machine. Now we can create magnets. That requires a bit of work. We have to get the right substance and then we have to magnetize it. We put a little bit of energy in, but that's tiny. Once you create the magnet, it lasts, I don't know, hundreds of years, forever. They do run out because the atoms lose coherence. If you knock about a magnet, it loses its structure and you lose the magnetic field. But it only, what happens is the machine is broken. The machine works because of the alignment of the atoms. That is the machine. You have to put the atoms in alignment. Now you've got the machine. And the machine produces permanent energy as a magnetic field. So for your generator, your dynamo, inside that, you've already got a permanent free energy machine. That is over unity. So yes, hydroelectric generator is over unity, because in the heart of it is a magnet, which is in itself an over unity machine. It is no doubt. And it's breaking the first law of thermodynamics. A magnet. You have to calculate how much energy does it take to put in to magnetize it. It will take a certain amount of magnetic energy in one go, boof. Now you have to calculate how much magnetic energy comes out of the magnet. Now they would say, oh no, it's slightly less or the same as what goes in. No, you have to calculate the magnetic energy coming out of a magnet over time. Let's say over 100 years. Over 100 years, how much magnetic energy comes out of the magnet? Now compare that to how much magnetic energy you put in to create the magnet. It's way over unity. We've already got it. We're just not looking at it. We're not interpreting it correctly. So the magnet is there and we have a coil of wire. Now the magnet moves inside the coil of wire. And this now creates an electrical current in the wire. How does this happen? Now, first of all, you have to understand what magnetism is. Magnetism is a function of electricity. And electricity is a movement of charge to discharge. High pressure ether is moving to low pressure ether. But it's highly pressurized ether, like a jet of water. So electricity is still a fluid. It's simply a localized high pressure jet of fluid. And because of this, it's moving through, again, it's pushing through the gravitational field, the ether. Electricity is high pressure ether moving through gravity. But as it moves through gravity, it is also creating a turbulence. It's creating a turbulence in this gravitational field. And it actually creates a spiral turbulence. You can imagine a jet of water passing through gravity, and that jet of water is dragging the gravity with it, and it spirals along. Now, again, the reason it spirals, again, is to do with the function of the fluid dynamics. The ether spirals. It moves in circles and spirals. That's to do with mathematics. That's another talk. But electricity spirals through the ether. And it drags the ether, creates a turbulence. And as it drags the gravitational force, it intensifies it. Remember, it's highly pressurized. Strong ether is dragged in and gets pressurized inside. So that creates magnetism. Magnetism is this, it is an intensified gravitational force. Because it moves matter. Just like gravity moves matter. But it moves magnetic matter. So it moves a particular matter that has also got some of this intensified gravitational force going on inside it. But a strong enough magnetic field still moves everything. Everything becomes magnetized and will be affected by a strong enough magnetic field. I'm talking, ridiculously strong. So in magnetism is intensified gravity created by a flow of electricity, which is really condensed etheric fluid. So now we've got this. And it also means it's interchangeable. So a magnetic field can create this electrical current. And an electrical current will also create a turbulence, a magnetic field. And a dynamo is the interaction of the two. You see, one is creating the other, but when the magnet creates the electric current, but then the current also creates its own magnetic field, and that interacts with the magnet's field. Now we've got this self-increasing loop. Each one feedbacks, and it increases the electrical current. But inside the magnet, you see, how do we create this solid state magnet? In order to have a magnetic field, a permanent one, there must be moving electricity. You see, magnetism is created by moving electricity. It's a flow. A jet of water, powerful jet of water, must move. Only then it creates this suction, this turbulence of gravity. So in order to have a permanent magnet, what we must have is a spinning current of electricity. And we know this because it works in reverse. An electromagnet is a coil of wire with electricity going round and round and round. And then it creates a magnetic field perpendicular. You have an electromagnet. So magnetism is because you've got this jet of water, electricity spinning around, creating a turbulence, a spiral, and that creates this torus shape magnetic field. Now you have a permanent magnet. But in a magnet without an electric current, a solid state magnet, that is happening on the atomic structure. Each one of the atoms has got moving, spinning electricity around it. It goes back to the old atomic model. An electron spinning around a proton. It's not quite like that. It's not an electron, it's fluid. Fluid electricity is spinning around an atom, but it's all part of the atom. That in itself is etheric energy condensed, vibrating, spinning. on an electrical level. That density is there. And then all the atoms are aligned together. When they all work together, it's as if they all spin in one harmonic. All the atoms inside in the magnet harmonize. They cohere. So now it becomes like a spinning current around and around the magnet, and that creates the magnetic field. But you cannot capture that current. It's not like you can plug in a magnet and you'll get electricity. No, it's embedded into the atoms. So this is how it works. So electromagnetism is still a function of condensed pressurized ether. Now, when you go back to the hydroelectric generator, gravitational energy, this softer field, is moving the water. But so this gravitational etheric energy comes in to the moving water wheel. That must move the magnet. So we need to move the magnet or move the coil of wire. So now when we're moving the magnet or the coil of wire, now what we're doing is we're stimulating a condensation of the ether. We're creating a turbulence. We're taking a turbulence inside the coil of wire. See, the electrical current is compressed. That's why we need a conductor. The coil of wire is a conductor, and the movement of magnetism is creating a turbulence inside it, and such that it's like a pipe or a hose. You must have a hose to create a jet of water. So the conductor is like this hose, and when you create the turbulence, you start to move the water in the conductor. But really, you're creating a spiral, a vortex. So you're spiraling the ether inside the conductor. So that's like a corkscrew motion, and that is creating the electrical current, which you can now take off. You connect a wire to it, you've got an electric current. But here's where it becomes free energy, Tesla's free energy. You don't need a wire, you have another coil elsewhere. If you have another coil of wire, it must be exactly the same size and proportion. Then what you have is resonance. And that other coil of wire will also pick up the electrical current. So that now is free energy transmission. So that's another thing I have to talk about, how how we get resonance, wireless power transfer. So I hope this made sense. This is a difficult one, so please bear with me. I'm trying to explain a lot of stuff very, very quickly. So I think maybe I've still got more to explain on this. So I think I still need a couple more episodes in this series. So please bear with me. If you sat through this, thank you very much. And I appreciate all your questions and comments. I know there may be a lot of questions, so feel free to ask them and I'll get to answering them as soon as I can. Thank you so much again, and I look forward to seeing you next time.